How many flights do you think go out daily?
A lot.
A lot. How many pilots or passengers actually see a UFO while flying?
I would say a lot.
All right. Well, we're going to discuss American Airlines pilot spotted something, missile or UFO.
On February 21st of 2021, American Airlines pilot spotted a UFO over New Mexico, flying from Ohio to Phoenix, Arizona.
Now, was it a UFO? Because the way he describes it, when you hear the transmission come back relay to the tower,
Yeah.
do you have any targets up here? And then he said, I don't know what I really saw.
Well, he goes, I hate to say this.
I
but
hate to say this.
It looked like a long cylindrical object that flew over us.
What if it was a missile?
Well, he did say that. He goes, do you have anything up here, any targets up here? And ATC, Air Traffic Control, said, no, we don't.
Have any targets up here? We just had something go right over the top of us that, I hate to say this, looked like a long cylindrical object. It almost looked like a cruise missile type of thing moving really fast. I remember.
Even the military base, which is 400 miles away, White Sands Missile Range, said they weren't flying any missiles that day.
And that's kind of really scary. If you're a pilot and you see something fly over the plane and it could be a missile, is there enemy targets? Something's gonna shoot us down? Is there another one coming? And then if it is a UFO, like, why are you getting that close to the airplane?
And when you talk to the tower and they say they have nothing on radar and you don't have anything on radar, that would freak me out.
But here's the thing, like in the transmission, it doesn't say like, all right, it's bigger than our plane, it's smaller than our plane. The way he describes it, it almost seems like it's a missile, like the size of a missile.
Yeah.
So then begs the question, is it some type of drone? Is it some type of military drone? Is it some type of alien craft that's a drone? Maybe there's no little green men running around inside there pulling the controls, but they're somewhere far, far away and it's a drone.
I mean, it does sound like that over the video, but the FBI is investigating it, the Federal Aviation is investigating it, and the military, the Pentagon, came out with a statement.
Of course they did.
Said there weren't testing anything in that area at that time, and the logs prove that they weren't. I don't know. Like, I don't think it's a missile, but if you look at like the recent history of UFOs, the Tic Tac incident, which is the biggest one of them all.
I get that, but are they drones? Are they, is there a pilot in these crafts that are flying around, or are they just drones? And at what point do we say, why are aliens or UFOs still visiting Earth after all these years?
The Pentagon came out with their findings of UFOs, and they say most of these sightings are spy aircraft from China. But I think that's bullshit.
It goes back to, the Roswell, going back to some, UFO sightings here in New Jersey over lakes, waters, or anything. This was not over any type of body of water that we know of.
No.
I am really weary when the government comes out and says like, oh, we weren't testing anything. We weren't doing this, because.
Well, they will say, yeah.
We heard so many times we were testing a weather balloon. We were, oh, this is just Venus and Mars that align, How many times have you seen like these bullshit stories from the government? Like, why would they tell us anything?
No, I don't think they would tell us anything, but I think these pilots that are flying these aircraft see these things and don't want to report it for numerous reasons. A, they don't want to get like pulled off the flight, their flight schedule, because they're going to have to go through some evaluation. All like the follow-up questions, like, oh, you're the guy who sees UFOs.
Yeah, but at what point are we going to get beyond that though? And what point are we going to say?
I hope we're going to get beyond it soon, because
it's
I believe things are out there.
I've seen a ghost. Oh, you can't talk about it because then people will be like, you're the ghost guy, or like, oh, you're the alien guy. You saw a UFO. Yeah, it doesn't mean I saw like little green men flying this spaceship. That would be
awesome if you did.
It would be great, but at the same time, it doesn't have to be that case. It can be some type of like military aircraft that they're just not saying to us. Like UFO is unidentified flying object. It doesn't mean
they're UAPs.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that there's an alien attached to this UFO. It just means that what we're seeing, and you would think pilots of all people would know exactly. All right, this is military. This is because most of those people came from the military. The pilots.
Most of those guys have so many hours of flight time that they know what type of aircraft's up there. They know the different types of things that should be up there and shouldn't be up there.
Right.
So I mean, I would tend to believe this pilot's assessment of what's there and what's not there, especially radar technology. Like I told you, that guy on the Joe Rogan podcast said once they updated their radar technology, they saw all these things out there that are not seeable with the naked eye.
See, and that begs the question again, where I always have, why would they use cloaking technology or be invisible, certain times? Because I've heard that a lot recently. Times. And then other times like, oh, let's just show ourselves.
I don't know.
If they have this technology, granted, like they probably don't care at this point, where it's like, all right, so what, they see us, like people don't really believe us, and then they're labeled as like, ooh, the weird people. Like some pilots say like, oh, they have these cloaking things and we can't see them, and then they just show up. But then other people are like, oh, I've seen it, it's like right in front of me. And then I've even heard reports where there's a famous one, which we're going to talk about in come January, where shape-shifting almost.
What if there's like a power supply that has them cloaked, and once that gets drained to a certain level, they have to now show themselves until like that power regains? That's the only thing that I would say or can come up with, because then it doesn't make sense. Or maybe some aircraft have it and some aircraft don't.
Do you know of anybody that has talked about, like certain pilots that have talked about seeing weird
they say
craft?
that all the time, that they see stuff out there, especially like if you talk to Navy or Air Force guys that are in the middle of the ocean, these missions, that they always see something, but they can't really explain it.
I wish somebody would, do like a mass interview of these people. They would just come out later on. Like once I retire and I have my pension and everything is going
they sign NDAs, so if they come out and say something, they can take your pension away.
Okay, so then I'll tell it to somebody else, and then like you're the conduit. Like this guy, Greg, we're going through Greg. Greg's the known guy to interview former military, former blah, blah, blah.
Would people believe that then?
Maybe not.
It doesn't come from the horse's mouth?
People don't believe it anyway. There could be thousands of people watching this alien aircraft, and they'll be like, oh, it was the Russians, it was the Chinese, it was the Americans, blah, blah, blah. It is. Like there's so many sightings throughout history. We can go down the list. There's some that are really famous, some that are not famous. And then
UFOs over Washington, D.C.
Yeah, and then all
Phoenix
of a sudden,
Lights, Roswell.
Right, there's so many. It does go on. There's so much out there, and then we still don't believe. Like again, is seeing really believing? Because until like, oh, I've seen it for myself, then I definitely believe it. But if I don't see it for myself,
I think that's the way most people are. Yeah.
Well, then guess what? You'll never convince anybody. So at that point, who cares? Like at least the information is out there. We know that most ex-military and pilots talk to Greg and they say, here's my story. And then we
know that we know that they know.
People don't even know what that's from.
If you don't know where that's from, you're not a big listener to the show.
That's true. You're not. Yep. Tom Hanks.
Yep.
1980s. The burps. But anyway, I don't know. Like this one, there's no pictures.
No pictures.
Again,
but
so we can't see
the radio transmission of the pilot going back to air traffic control, saying he sees something, and them saying there's nothing on radar and nothing should be up there. But if that doesn't scream UFO, I don't know what does.
But again, like I want to know, is it more like a drone? I want to know like more of the size, which again, it went by really fast. So if it did look like a missile, and most drones, even today in the military, but we've seen them, and they if they went by pretty fast, you would say maybe they are some type of missile or anything like that.
Yeah, but those would show up on radar.
Maybe not. Maybe we have a technology that the military has that they're not sharing with the rest of us. And why would they? Why would they share with the average airline pilot?
No, I don't think they would, but...
Again, so there you go. It is very compelling to me. I don't need to see it to believe it anymore. I really don't, because there is credible people out there. Yes, why would... You're just flying a normal flight to Arizona.
People just want to go on vacation
and you're over Mexico. But that's another thing.
New Mexico.
Why is it New Mexico? Why is it always in that area that people are seeing stuff? And there is military bases. So then
but it's
like a 50-50.
Away.
It's 50-50.
It's 400 miles away because they're in northern New Mexico. That missile range is in southern New Mexico. And that's where the flight path takes you over to land in Phoenix, Arizona.
Maybe there is aliens watching us. I want to say this is very compelling just because it's like, why would you just get on and just say, hey, is there anything up here? Nope. All right. That was kind of weird. I would love to get reaction from this pilot, like afterwards, be like, what do you think it is? Off the record, what do you think it is?
I would say he probably definitely thinks it's a UFO.
I want to hear more stories about this because the last couple of weeks I've been obsessed with like UFO sightings, aliens, and things like mostly like strange UFO sightings.
Strange UFO sighting.
Have any targets up here? We just had something go right over the top of us that, I hate to say this, looked like a long cylindrical object. It almost looked like a cruise missile type of thing moving really fast. I remember.
What do you think this is?
I think it's real. I think it's a UFO.
So this is spooky, definitely real to Greg, just because
Definitely
of the pilot.
spooky.
Definitely
Just because of
spooky.
the recording and ATC saying they don't have anything up there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to lean towards. There's no other explanation. I don't know. Like, yeah, I think this might be a UFO, man. I don't know how else to really explain it. I don't know. Let us know your thoughts. Do you
In the
think?
comments below.
Do you think pilots and passengers are seeing UFOs, and how come there hasn't been more stories about this?
If you have any pictures or stories, please share it with us.
Yeah, let us know and call the Weird Hotline 732-660-8893. Make sure to subscribe. Hit
Tease.
that bell for notification. Check out our shops, and until next time.
Stay spooky. What is this thing?
You could do better.
What do you want me to say?
You could do better than that.
Cut it. Cut it.
You don't like that one? It doesn't hook me.
do better.
It doesn't hook me in. It doesn't really hook me in, but I'm kind of hooked. I'm intrigued. You got nothing now. What's up, all you weird people?
And mystery seekers and UFO hunters and the cryptozoologist people out there.